So is it settled?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's going where?
Palace.
Palace party, raise your hand. Okay.
I'm going with Aros.
Trader party. So Shamash and Aros.
Yep. And Balthazar.
Balasar is going to follow you, for sure.
Right.
You guys
I'm sure
are
he
going
could
to do your
lead
own
you
thing?
to the refugees.
Yeah.
Black hand.
Just to smash his bitches.
Okay.
Black hand.
3 parties split.
Oh boy. At least we're all in the same city and we're not like teleporting to
What plans do you
different
got?
realms.
For now.
I'm going with you.
Oh yeah.
I didn't see.
I'm assigned with the party.
All right.
I was about to suggest you go with
expect me
him
to beg
and
for
him out of
gold.
trouble.
Just to say, let me get the Janster, Babel,
Sorry.
Bam,
Leaving 2 gold.
Iskander, Sheehan splits off with the 2 other parts, which also split off, and this side is what we're going to get to for this end of this. Don't really need direction anymore. The Queen's Palace is a large stone structure, multi-tier level, almost castle. It's more ornate than anything. Large colored painted pillars along the front of it, and a large set of gates of black metal. And there are 2 heavily armored guards on either side of the gates.
Queen
And he
Guard,
says, "What is your business here, Babel?"
Well, got put in charge of dealing with the raider issue.
All right.
And now I need to go frickin' get an okay on a battle plan as well as getting established as an independent unit.
Oh, we didn't talk about again.
So,
That's up later.
who do you need to see?
I pipe up and like,
All of them.
All of them.
specifically for me,
Welcome to hell.
Sandros.
Just kidding, Sandros. Sandros, then
Probably
my
the
buddy that
Suffates.
kicked me into the pit. And I can't remember his name because I'm an asshole.
Probably just Sufate Hano and those guys.
Yep.
All right. If Sandros told you to come here, then I'll gladly let you through. I don't want to have any trouble with that old man. So he gives a nod to the other guard. He says, "They're going to see a Sandros," and the other guard just nods, and he opens up the gate. You can see through the gate. It's a large set of steps that go up an incline to an interior palatial building.
I wish I had a pair of scissors right now because I just snip like the back part of his plume off while he's not
Probably
paying
would not go well. In both seats, you see the 2 men from before, the Suffates, and you see Isandros standing by them, as well as a 3rd side seat off a little bit to the side of them, more stationary, more temporary seating that the lady is sitting on. Hopefully that will be enough for your, what was it, scouting that you were going to do?
No, we're going to war.
Interesting. And he turns and looks to the other Cephate, who just looks at you. He's not saying anything. The lady comments, "We're already at war. It affects us all."
That is why we're stepping up and doing what's necessary. As the people of this nation and the people of this region, we're going to fight the fuck back. My apologies for my language, milady.
Hano smiles.
Is that the same lady that attached me to them?
Mm-hmm. It's your lord.
I'm slightly offended by his cursing. And I keep quiet.
That's the sound of his brain exploding whenever he hears me say fuck in front of his milady.
Ask Andrew
She-
will remember this.
She comments. She comments, "I see you've met my charge Iskander."
Yes.
Yeah, he's quite the charmer.
We have already incorporated him into our group.
We got him a glass of milk.
I Me and him got. Yeah.
Romani Chateau.
Come on, a glass of milk.
This is a glass of SMA.
Who else?
It's good that you've integrated him already and so quickly. I hope he is a asset to the team.
You said talk to the mercenaries about acquiring a ship, correct?
That was our hope.
What about cooperation with the major navy?
No, they're a little harder to deal with in our current circumstances.
We might have a plan for combined arms operation to cut off the entire eastern force of raiders.
Again, this is backtracking. This is Hano answering you mainly.
I'm speaking to all of them. Let them just answer as they go.
What was your last statement? Just to.
We are currently working on a plan to cut off the entire eastern flank of the raider forces.
The other Suffate Mago answers you and says, that is their main force.
Yes. This is why I've come here.
They stare at each other intensely.
To speak to you all about first
That
establishing
is-
ourselves as an independent political unit, working completely independently of the mercenary forces.
How do you propose that?
Establishing ourselves as a sub-faction under the mercenaries. Because at this current time, we have a noble among our ranks. Not of our nation, but of the Dragonborn. There will be great political consequences if he is put under
Hano
organization.
Hano winces at this, saying, yes, he's a noble. I forgot about that.
And
We were discussing possible trade deals with his kind. Of course, it was not really much of a dealing. He was in an arena.
Yes. Now, like I said, all we need is you all to hand off the paperwork and agree to us operating as an independent unit working in cooperation with the National Navy and the mercenary forces. As you all are the employers.
Hano turns
That's why you're
to
not there.
Hano turns to the other Suffate and says, Mago, what do you think? And Mago is still staring at Babel, and he says, it'll be hard for the Navy to accept this. They are a hardlining faction.
I think they'd be much happier to finally have pulled a hell of a great victory over the forces at hand. Especially seeing as they'll be doing the heavy lifting. So all the glory goes to them.
You'll have to take this directly to the Admiralty on the island of the ship, the military port, the island in the center, and see what their propositions would be in counter. Because I don't know if they would outwardly work under you, even
No.
if the Suffate, in duality, if the dual Suffate tells them to.
I'm not asking them to work under us. All I'm asking is cooperation. Simply as that. They can agree or deny any of the plans or ideas. We're just looking at working on equal terms.
Hano says, I like it. It sounds to be the easiest of solutions, but the drawbacks are you won't have as much support as the mercenaries.
Yes, this is why I'm wanting to bring the mercenaries along. There is a ground campaign that needs to be won for this plan to work. You know of the island to our north?
Of course.
We're in dire need of resources, right?
Yes.
And from what I remember, that island is very resource rich. I'm already working in cooperation with some organizations to begin mining and exploiting the resources to that island. But we need to deal with the primary part of the raider threat. They have islands, they have strongholds. On that north side, maybe even on the east side of it. And maybe even the west side of it. The island is hard to deal with.
Makes sense.
So they're everywhere. Is what you're saying. They're
Yes.
everywhere.
Everywhere but on the south side of it.
They're north side, south side.
There's a lot of
North,
There's a lot of
yeah,
games going on.
Basically, all the sides.
Just
But-
360.
360 no scope.
But
everybody.
if how many,
360
I need to know how many nations do we have on our side for dealing with this threat?
We have the support. We have the gracious support of the lady here and her resources. We have, of course, the pool of mercenaries that continue to come from the east. Not a lot of other nations are involved in this, however, because we own the seas in this region.
That's always a fun little diplomatic debacle.
If
What
we
about
can,
those islands to the east? Have they started taking apart as well?
there's not much other than fishing villas, smaller communities, tribal folk.
That's true.
If we could perhaps get the resources of this dragon beings nation on our side.
That is a long, hard campaign, and it will require a navy multiple sizes of ours to make that trek right here and now. If we can at least pin down the raider threat
All we need
and
is
buy us the time we need, I think we can do a piercing attack and open a small lane to allow a small fleet through to go to his nation over time. And I'm not gonna lie, I have something else to gain from all this. And it's not money, it's not treasure or anything like that. My God has sent me on a mission to collect parts of an artifact. I've already spoken to the churches. They're helping me acquire the pieces to it. But there's, to the west, there's an island that is of some importance when it comes down to this artifact. I do not understand what its purpose is or anything like that. All I know is it's in raider territory. It seems the further you go in, the thicker it gets. So, that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to help out as much as I am. To hopefully free us of the biggest part of the burden of the raider threat, or at least make them turn around and have to backpedal hard. In that time, the Navy and the mercenaries we will take full advantage of a force that's weakened, starving, and in disarray.
A major push.
Yes. Finally, a turn in the tide of war. We may not be able to take advantage of it for very long, but I say we use whatever we can get out of it. But like I said, like you've said, this needs to go up to the Admiralty.
Yes, they need to be involved in this as much as we do.
That's why I'm requesting recommendations for this plan. And I'm here to speak to you all about it, as well as getting the okay on the independent unit.
You make a good case for the unit. A dignitary of a foreign nation having its own military units, working with the state navy and the mercenaries. And I suggest having an actual battle plan on parchment for the Admiralty before you speak with them. Then they would see more into your plan. But it sounds like you're onto something good. Hanno turns to Mago. Mago nods. Flesh it out. Bring it to the Admiralty. And Sandros kind of nods too. Mago turns to Sandros and says, and find out more about this artifact, Sandros. And Sandros says, certainly, Suffate. The lady stays quiet.
I'll give you a basic description of the 3 parts that I understand it as. It's a device from a gone era. That's all I know it as.
While
I do not understand its purpose yet.
While he's doing that,
Hopefully my God will inform me.
I ask Cassandros where the armory is so I can go and get my my stuff.
He'll gesture to the attendant that brought you guys in, and you guys will have access to whatever you did not have on person.
Yeah, I basically want to go to the armory and go to the royal stables and get my gear and my gaff. My gear and my gaff.
So at this point, guys, the discussion dwindles down to ifs and possible plans and whatnot. So you guys essentially spend time fleshing out the plan in general with the Suffates, like just to make sure they're okay with it.
And as soon as I find my chest, I put my gloves on. And you see me then with leather gloves with ivory fingernails.
It looks like skin.
Yeah, it's pallid leather with ivory
with
fingernails.
long ivory fingernails.
And he's just like, finally!
Oh boy.
So again, just to finish up here, you guys are still within the palace, and you're coming up with an actual plan. Sandros is going to speak to you on the artifact and potentially making a more soundly, visually good-looking plan to present to the Admiralty.
For what it's worth,
I'm gonna leave him here.
for brevity's sake.
And what's Sheehan, what were you saying?
He makes an effort to, if you'd like to test your strategy, he goes like a process of explaining that Go has versatile sets. It's like if you want to play a war game, that's what my game is for. If you wanted to simulate your tactical thing, we could play a game.
You're a strategist. Well, I think I know what Babel's going to be doing for the rest of the day.
I know.
What I'm saying, what I'm summarizing,
Because he's
Yeah.
a very basic. Babel's a super basic strategist, like bare bone basic.
Like,
He
I
just
see,
knows
if you're interested in the idea, Sheehan's like, I could set my game up to, I could play the villains, and you could play you, and we'll play a game of territories.
Yeah.
That's what Go is about.
We can play it later.
Play a game of tactics.
Territory.
Hanno, Suffate Hanno finally chimes in and asks, and what would you call your unit?
The Scurvy Dogs.
I'll get back to you on a name.
The Scurvy Dogs. It's already been.
How many members do we have?
It's Oros and his merry men.